Well, thank you, everyone, and welcome to the session on entrepreneurship. It's great to be here. My name is Philip Kust. I'm a social impact manager at Reckitt, and I'm leading our global water, sanitation, and hygiene portfolio. And I'm also a One Young World ambassador, having participated in the summit in Manchester in 2022. So it's a real privilege to be back here 3 years later on this stage and hold the space for 3 incredible water entrepreneurs that I will introduce in a second. But before I do that, I want to set the scene. So at the heart of today's session is a simple truth. Nida said it yesterday. Water is life. Around the world, 2.1 billion people lack access to clean water. That is 1 in every 4. Maybe some of you in this room here today have experienced that firsthand. But if you haven't, I would like you just for a second to imagine how your life would be different if you were one of them. When you wake up in the morning, instead of taking a shower, going to the toilet, washing your hands, or brushing your teeth, all you can worry and think about is how and where am I gonna get water for me and my family today. That is the reality of billions of people across the world. And it's often women and girls who bear the brunt of that crisis, walking 200 million hours every single day to fetch water. And it impacts every aspect of their life, their health, their well-being, their economic prosperity, their chance for education and empowerment. But the good news is, solutions exist, and we have 3 incredible entrepreneurs who are tackling the water crisis head-on. And so without any further ado, I would like to introduce our panelists. As Reckitt, we have sponsored the LEAD2030 SDG6 challenge since 2020, and we have supported over 10 of incredible entrepreneurs like the 3 you see here on stage through this program, who are now all part of our wider Reckitt Catalyst initiative, supporting 200 entrepreneurs by 2030. So One Young World, if I can ask for a big round of applause for our 2 LEAD2030 winners for this year. We have Iwet Ishimwe, founder and CEO of the Iriba Water Group, and Divanshu Kumar, founder and CEO of Salinas Integrity. And then last but not least, it's a real personal pleasure for me to reintroduce to the stage after, I think I may add, a hugely emotional main stage moment yesterday. Nida Sheikh is the CEO and founder of Tayaba and also H2O Technologies. And I've had the privilege to work with Nida for the past 2 years. And it's a real honor, my friend, to have you here with me today. Thank you. So, Yvette, let's start with you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your organization and your impact?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Philip. Yvette, as Philip just introduced, I'm from Rwanda, and at Iriba Water Group, we decided to be on a mission to provide safe drinking water, mainly to underserved communities and schools. And we do that using climate-smart water ATMs. It's like a device that has inbuilt water purification, storage, and automated dispensing. And with those, we are able to reach over 500,000 people every single day with safe drinking water, with our water ATMs deployed in public schools, in private schools, in low-income communities. And in communities, they are run by young people, mainly aged 18 to 30 years, who run them as their own businesses through a franchise model. We've been able to do this work in Rwanda, in DRC, Eastern DRC in Goma, and in Central African Republic in Bangui. So I'm very happy to be here today.
Thanks, Yvette. And for those of you who were here yesterday, Yvette shared her personal story of how she started. And it really started in your own home, right, with a small water tank solution. And from there, you built this business. So kudos to you. Divanshu, coming to you next. Can you tell us a little bit about your solution from Salinas?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Very glad to be here. I'm Divanshu. I come from India. And like a lot of developing countries that are there, most of our urban cities do not have access to 24/7 water supply. In a lot of places, cities where they have like lack of water, they even wait 1 week just to get access to 2 hours or 3 hours of water supply from the government. And it makes it very difficult for them to access their day-to-day water needs. What we do is we realize that when you think about from a systemic lens of about how water works, when they supply it from the treatment plant to the houses, it's not really about the access to water that is there, because a lot of water actually exists, but really the inefficiencies that are there when water gets transported from the treatment to the houses. In India, the average of that is about 51% unrecorded, and recorded is about 38–40%, which means that for every 100 liters of water supplied, you essentially only get about 50 liters of water. So 50 liters of treated drinking water, it's getting wasted every day. Now you put that to scale in a city like Chennai, which is one of the tier 1 cities in India, the average water supply per day is about 1,200 million liters of water. So what we're essentially coming to is about 600 million liters of water every day getting wasted, what could have been used for public. And this is a city which is drought hit. So essentially you have irony playing around just because there are inefficiencies. So what we did, I come from engineering, I did my mechanical engineering. So we have built robots that actually can get inside those pipelines. And we have built Asia's smallest robot that can go into pipelines as small as 90 millimeter in diameter, so it's this big. And they pinpoint the exact source of defects inside the pipelines so that corrective action can be taken. And we reduce diagnostic time from what could be 6–8 days to less than 2 hours. And similarly, we have a robotic solution in sanitation and an AI solution for digitizing the underground network of pipelines, whether it is water, sewer, or drainage. And over the course of 5 years that we have been working, we have worked with more than 30 cities in India, and we just expanded to Middle East. And just one thing that I want to talk about from an impact perspective to tell you about what scale we were able to bring. In an average city in India that we've worked with, over the last 1 year, we have made an effort to reduce the water leakages to about 40 million liters of water per day. And you can put that to think about how many number of people it would have impacted. And that's the kind of stories that we bring on a daily basis with the cities that we work with. Thank you.
Thanks, Devanshu, and obviously an incredible use of technology for good, right? Which is exactly what we should be talking about. We've heard a lot of AI this week, but I think this is a very practical example of how you can actually do it in practice. So thank you for that. Nida, coming to you next. Obviously, we heard a lot about your story already yesterday, but maybe you want to recap again your story and also your impact to date.
Thank you, Philip, for the kind introduction, firstly. And hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for taking out time to join us. I'm Nida, a social entrepreneur from Pakistan, a country which is the 5th most climate vulnerable country in the world. We face both drought and floods, but in both cases, there's no safe water to drink. And at the same time, millions of people, especially women, walk every day carrying heavy loads of water on their heads, miles 4 to 5 kilometers just to fetch water, just to survive every day. You know, no choice, just to survive. So we are addressing this with low-tech water rollers. You can also see it today here on the stage. It's a 40-liter water roller, which is equivalent to 6 clay pots and enough for a family of 7 for 3 days. And also like high-tech solutions like solar-powered water facilities that provide safe water to communities where they are. And now an air-to-water generator that is producing water from humidity in the air. And we are launching this in both urban and rural areas. In less than 3 years, through these simple but tech-enabled solutions, we have reached almost 1 million people and delivered over 500 million liters of safe water. And I must say that I have a very small team. It's less than 10 people. But we have 60 partners on ground, and our cost to serve one beneficiary is less than $1. And this is just the start. And our mission is to lift 25 million people out of water scarcity by 2030. And it would not be possible without youth leaders like you sitting here with us. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
I mean, obviously, Nida is the perfect example of a successful entrepreneur and also driving purpose into action. So thank you for that. I want to talk a little bit about technology, but also scale, because we were talking about how solutions exist, and what we really need to do is just to scale them instead of reinventing the wheel over and over again. And we have 3 solutions here that work, that have been tested. So how do we scale? What are your plans, Yvette, for scaling up your business, and how can people in the audience, whether it's online or here, help you?
Thank you for that question, Philip. At Tayaba, we've spent, since 2019, that's when we first launched our water ATM, tested it, how it could work. It started as a big kiosk, and we let us know that we needed to reduce the size so it could fit everywhere in those congested areas. So we've been testing and refining our product until last year that we realized now this is really something that we can actually do at scale. Now we are on a national scale program in Rwanda to deploy up to 2,500 water ATMs across 1,700 schools and 800 communities. And that means being able to reach up to 2.2 million people with safe drinking water every single day. Now we are on that road to scale this impact. But also tapping into other existing opportunities out there like climate finance, carbon credits, so we could be able to reach the communities that we weren't able to reach because they don't have capacity to pay even what we call affordable. Now we're deploying this, give them water free of charge, and then sell carbon credits. Now we sustain that financially. So yeah, that's what we're doing at scale. And for everyone here, I would like to welcome your ideas, your connections. If you have carbon credit buyers, like corporates that could, carbon offsets, happy to have a chat. Or if you have any strategy that you can give us an idea about, welcome that. And support the cause, because CapEx really are mainly funded via grants, donations, and other impact financing. So any support will be more than welcome.
And I think if I remember this correctly, top of my head, I think you were saying one of those ATMs, in terms of the return on investment, it's like, can you remind us, it's a year? And,
yes,
and then you can...
Absolutely. Within a year, that's 18 months, we're able to recoup the investment made per ATM. So it's something that pays back. Really, it's really good proof of profit and purpose combined. And
Right. That's the solutions we need. Divanshu, coming to you next. Your plans for growth and scale up, and obviously leveraging technology, but also maybe you want to talk about the finance aspects. You were going to venture capital sort of route, right? So maybe you want to touch on that.
I think particularly for me, because we are also designing those technologies, a lot of the effort that we put in the initial years was on building the tech, right? So we have a big R&D team that is actually manufacturing those robots. Like I said, we have more than 10 patents in our name. And we have a separate AI team that is working on the digital solutions that we are having. So I think for scale, the first very important thing for us is to get the product right. Because if the product is not right and the reliability of that is not there, then you will just multiply those problems every time you grow. So we have spent the first 3-4 years just perfecting that. And now we are at a cusp where we think that we'll be able to scale that solution. So we have taken certain pathways to scale. One is, of course, forging partnership with the state governments where we can get there. So for example, in one of the states in India where we are talking about deploying hundreds of these robots at once across all the districts of the state, so that at one stage we can sort of eliminate those problems, and the state is also going to allocate a sizable budget to do that. So that's one of the strategies that we're looking at. The other thing that we have looked at various places is to create innovative business models out of that. So for example, when we make these inspection robots for us or cleaning robots for manholes and sewer lines, you need somebody to operate them, right? So instead of us doing that operation, because we have done that for the last 3 years, we understand all aspects of operational models and training that is required. So what we're doing really is going to individual states and asking people to be entrepreneurs, where we can lease our robots to them. So they don't have to invest their money upfront, but they can pay us as a lease every month over a period of, let's say, 2 to 3 years, because they're all sort of also rugged robots that we're building. And then they can earn their livelihoods through that, right? So those kind of innovative models we're looking at, because somebody has to do the service. And if we end up doing the service, then instead of being a product tech company, we end up becoming a service company. So those are some of the things that we're exploring. Parts of it have worked, parts of it also is the learning stage that we're in, but very confident that that's the way that we will be able to scale it up. So that's how we are thinking about scale. Now, of course, if you're in tech, you need a lot of capital in the early stage to sort of grow, and that's how the venture capital comes into play. So we have raised 2 rounds of funding, and we're just starting to raise our 3rd round of funding. We did a pre-series A last year, about $3.5 million. And what was very important for us, and what we are building, like into a new market that is not generally seen as something that will give you business returns, because water is not something that typically sort of conventionally has been seen as something that gives great business returns. We've gotten good validators who have put in the money and are saying that this works. So for example, we have gotten SBI Ventures, which is a subsidiary of State Bank of India, one of the largest bank in the country that is there, to put their money in with us. And they are backing us with the government as well to say that this is the right solution that can go to scale and can solve the problem for millions of people in the country. So that's how we have thought about it.
Thank you, Devanshu. Yeah, indeed. So Nida, coming to you then. We've heard your story of how you turned your business from low-tech solutions, the water roller that we see here on stage, into this incredibly powerful, innovative business that is now developing H2O air. And I think you said yesterday, it's not magic, it's responsible technology, right? So can you talk to us about how that journey was for you and how you also want to inspire other people who are on this journey to really leverage technology in that sense?
Yeah, Philip. So our business, and especially the use of technology, has evolved in a very organic way by making it very inclusive and including the communities who are facing the brunt of the crisis and co-creating with them. So including them in the problem-solving process. We started with these H2O wheels because we felt that head loading was an inhumane practice and that should be made history. And once that demonstrated some proof of concept, and we saw that how it was having a ripple impact in terms of education numbers, income numbers, and gender equity improvement as well, we realized that women and other people were still fetching water from unsafe water sources. And not that the water sources were unsafe, they were sometimes these deep wells, imagine like 400 feet deep wells where a long rope has to go down, and 4 to 5 people have to pull it out just to get a pint of water. And we call it tug of war. So we realized that we had to come up with a solution to address the source problem as well. And that is how renewable technology was introduced for solar-powered water pumps, so that effort could also be reduced. Initially, we reduced the effort for clay pots, had to be replaced through the H2O wheels. Now we wanted to reduce the effort of actually getting safe water. So I think the idea of solar-powered water facilities came into being, and that allowed communities to have water through a tap. Similarly, during 2022, when floods hit Pakistan, over 33 million people were displaced. And despite so many relief efforts, we realized aid, let alone water, was reaching people quickly, not even transparently. In one area, a lot of efforts were happening, a lot of resources were going, and in some areas, there was nothing. So there was no proper resource allocation being done. So we introduced blockchain technology to ensure that it was done in a transparent way. And we realized that we were able to bank those unbanked individuals, especially women. And that was something that we hadn't targeted. Our objective was to do transparent distribution. So that is how blockchain technology was introduced to remote areas where people would not even be aware of this word. But they're using these QR cards to use these wallets to redeem aid now in a long-term manner. So essentially, I think the success of using technology, especially in communities like these, where literacy levels are low, you can make the adoption higher by including them in the problem-solving process so that they own it in a manner that's relatable to them, that resonates with them. So I think that's essentially what we try to do with the use of technology over the years.
Great, thanks, Nida. And I think that's a common theme actually across all of you, right? Working with the communities, but also creating opportunities for those communities, whether it's through franchise, through employment, or through the ripple effects that come from water access. So great stuff. Nida, I want to stay with you actually, because as part of LEAD2030, our entrepreneurs obviously get financial support, but they also get non-financial support, mentorship, right? So Nida, do you want to maybe share a little bit about that experience? Because often we focus so much on capital and finance, and that is of course important, but also the non-financial support is crucial to help scale. So Nida, do you want to share your experience on that?
Yes, yes, of course, Philip. I think for me, it is very important that in order to build deep and meaningful relationships, you really have to be open and transparent and create that safe space where you can actually talk about what is not working more than what is working. And I think Reckitt Catalyst mentorship, courtesy you in the last 2 years has provided me with this platform. Of course, the funding has been crucial, but more than the funding, the mentorship has allowed me to tap into doors I never thought I could. Philip literally pushed me to Shark Tank Pakistan, and I never thought I could go and even go to platforms like these. But he bucked me up, he cheered for me. He was a constant cheerleader. His guidance, his constant support meant a great deal to me in these last 2 months. So beyond the funding, I was able to raise a lot of money through this program, a lot of intention for myself, a lot of confidence that I never thought I had in me. So thank you so much. I think, Philip, I really owe you a great deal of what I've done in the past 2 years especially. And I think it's because the safe space that you've created and the genuine support that you've rendered, which makes me, gives me the assurity. In a very often, I think in a change-making journey, it can be very lonely. Sometimes we do need to acknowledge that. And you really need to have that kind of assurance in the background, somebody who is banking on you when you're not, and on those hard days, they're showing up for you, which makes you think that you can do it, and you can actualize your potential and take it to the next level. And that is essentially what I would say, through Reckitt Catalyst have allowed me to do that, and taken the initiative to leaps that I never thought possible. Again, be pivoted from Tayaba, a not-for-profit, to a for-profit social enterprise, which is H2O Technologies, and now piloting H2O Air through that. And we've created now a financially sustainable model, which was not present 2 years ago. And I think this mentorship has been a significant contributor to that. So my message, again, would be just not to think of this program in a very isolated manner, because it really brings benefits that you don't think are possible, and really be open to when you're being a part of this program. So yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you, obviously. I'm deeply touched, but also she puts way too much credit on me. It's obviously all her work. But I do want to say it's been a real privilege to actually be in that position, to work with someone as inspiring as Nida, and leveraging the access that we have within corporates. So for anyone who's here from a corporate, whether that's your skills, your networks, the resources that you can tap in to help scale businesses like the 3 we have represented here on stage. That's a huge privilege and a great way to actually drive impact on the ground. So thank you, Nida. So I see that the clock is ticking down, but I really, before we go to Q&A, I want to give all of you the chance to say, what's your call to action? What do you want to leave the audience with? Is there anything you ask from everyone here? So Yvette, do you want to start?
Yeah, I think my call to action would be any support for these social causes are crucial, and there is no small support. It could be just an idea, a random idea that will just, give, a social entrepreneur in their businesses, and you will be amazed by how much impact that can create. So never underestimate what you can actually do for these social businesses, whether it's your expertise, whether it's your advice, whether it's just a word of encouragement, that really goes a very long way. So yeah.
Devanshu?
I'll go very call to action. So I think you know about the name of the companies that we have. This is Iriba Water Group, Solinas, and H2O Technologies. I would really love it if all of you can just spend 5 to 10 minutes going to our websites, reading deeply about what we do, And if there is any idea that you think that you have, whether we can do something better, whether you can make a connect, or you can just give us a shout out on social media, just do that for us. That would mean a world to us, because you'd never know what kind of ripple effects some support can create for small entrepreneurs like us. So just that's the call to action that I would want everybody.
So write that down, write that down. Nida?
That was a tangible one, yeah. I would like to reiterate my message from yesterday, and I just want to say that let's all ensure, because we are here, we have the privilege, we have a responsibility. So let's ensure that water is no longer a privilege, but a basic right, accessible to all. Because as Philip said, water is life, and without it, we are nothing. So thank you.
Great. Opening it up to Q&A now. We have 3 minutes.
All right, this is your chance. It's our interactive stage. So if you have any questions for our wonderful panelists, you can just raise your hand.
Hi, I'm Kyusha from Mozambique, and it's very inspiring to hear your stories. I have a startup that is developing nature-based solutions for drainage water, and it's about using nature. Like you said, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Nature already has a lot of strategies to do so. And in the wash sector, what I see a lot is a lot of emphasis in access to drinking water, access to sanitation, but drainage somehow lags behind. And coming from Mozambique, we have flooding for like 5 or more months of the year. We have too much water, but at the same time, then we have no water on the tap multiple times of the year. I wonder what is that you think about the approach to drainage as important step to have more efficient use of water. How can we leverage all this water that is a problem, that is seen as a problem, but it's actually a valuable resource?
Divanshu, do you want to take
I can take that, yeah. In fact, I've been working with a consortium of urban flooding experts in India to solve the problem of flooding and waterlogging. It's, of course, is a complex problem, but given the limitation of time, I just thought a couple of things that can be sort of highlighted on that. It's actually a mix of individual contribution as well as systemic issues that we need to bring in. So, for example, from an individual contribution point of view, what you can do, really, is ensure that the drainage lines that actually pass through your societies, communities, are not choked. Because a lot of individuals, what they're doing really is they are disposing their sewer waste into drainage, which later chokes it during the rainy season, and that leads to a lot of flooding issues and doesn't let the water pass through. And the second is that you can actually harvest the rainwater or general water that comes out of your places so that it doesn't go into the drain. That's at an individual level. But really, it's a large part of that is done by the governments where you need to introduce right technologies, because what is happening in cities is that drainage was typically designed for handling a certain density of population, but cities have actually gotten overpopulated with that over a period of time. So a lot of investment, both in terms of capital and new technology, needs to be done in order to solve the problem at scale and for sustainable future. So that's the way that I would address it today.
Do we have time for one more question? Yeah.
Yes, one more question. Would anyone like to raise your hand? If not, I'm sure you can catch our speakers outside after the session. And with that, I'd like to please get a big warm applause for our wonderful panelists.
Thank you all. Thanks for being here.